I think what you've said is relevant for a number of debates, but I think the debates, I want to mention three, require that one emphasizes different elements. So, I mean, one is this misunderstanding of autonomy, if one wants to call it that it has to be independence, and that would be much more Mill than Kant. Honora O'Neill makes it very clear that it's not required by autonomy not to have significant others, so therefore to be dependent on your friends is quite compatible with autonomy. Yeah, what one has to say that. Mm-hmm. Another debate would be the one between Habermas and Henrich. Basically, the opposite side, it's, if you want, saying the self is completely constituted by intersubjectivity. Dieter Henrich made it clear in whatever it was, the late 70s, and it was translated much later, that actually reflexivity cannot be explained from intersubjectivity. Mm-hmm. And then we have the other debate from 2000 onwards, also the kind of the Rawls school, Alan Buchanan and others, from chance to choice, where it is completely about saying what is given has to be questioned, and actually the human race may just be the precursor to future different enhanced human races, and not races,
yeah, that seems a little scary. Yeah.
So depending on the context, one really has to find a balance, whether one stresses kind of we don't want to continue the old notion or a type of notion of sovereignty that really says there is, first of all, no value to whatever went prior, and there is basically that is a fight against both relationships and the given factors. So when you say, as you did, and with very good reasons, everything is already orchestrated before even our first cry, that could be seen as supporting somebody like Buchanan and as a, if you want, fight against givenness. But other elements of what you're saying clearly aren't in that vein. So there are so many different debates that kind of are enriched by this, but I think one of the major trends is, if you want, the transhumanism, enhancement, better memories, fitter athletic bodies, and so on trends, and they seem to be fighting against, if you want, conditions of subjectivity as such. I mean, there seems to be a very clear contempt, if you want, a Nietzschean contempt for what there is, and the only way ahead is to change things completely. So that's one of the debates, and orchestrated, if you want, conditions even before we appear on the scene could be also seen as that. I mean, conditions are also enabling, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
People like Ricoeur would have emphasized that. They're limiting. Yes. Cultural symbolic forms are limiting, but they're also enabling, first of all.
Yes, I think that's right, and I think maybe some of the debates you're describing tend not to think about the relationship between what we call the given and what we call the created. And I mean, I will confess to you that I worked with Dieter Henrich in Heidelberg many years ago, and Henrich and Gadamer. So I do come from a certain Hegelian tradition that really tries to think about Sittlichkeit in a particular way. And although I follow Habermas with great interest and have great admiration for some of the political views he has, I think something was lost in the move away from certain Hegelian foundations. So I'm not sure what to say because I don't follow all those debates in philosophy at this point. But it does seem to me that the idea of perfectibility is worrisome to me, or greater enhancement. I think I'm less interested in that than in preserving forms of survivability, and my focus is thinking about precarity and what makes a life livable or unlivable, and that's the normative frame within which I work. And I think that I'm less interested in enhancing the human, or indeed accepting some kind of deterministic force of prior structures than I am in trying to think about what it is to be acted on by pre-existing structures, and also to be animated and acting and even resisting by virtue of that formation. So I suppose my entire project is to overcome what can sometimes seem like a very polarized set of positions.